It is Tuesday, October 10th. A Fox News alert breaking overnight. A college student shot a police officer, leaving him dead. The motive? It will make you sick.
And flames so hot they're melting the glass right off of cars. Our own Adam Housley is keeping his family home from burning to the ground. We're going to go to that story coming up. And pulled off the air, an ESPN host suspended for attacking America's team and the president. And President Trump just weighed in. Fox and Friends First continues right now. This Tuesday morning, I'm Rob Schmidt.
And I'm Jillian Mele. Thanks so much for starting your day with us. We do begin with a Fox News alert. A student at Texas Tech accused of shooting a police officer in the face, leaving him dead. The suspect, freshman Hollis Daniels, was at the police station after drugs were reportedly found in his room.
Well, that's when Daniels suddenly pulled out a gun and aimed it right at the officer, gunning him down. Daniels then took off, and the campus was locked down until he was eventually found. That officer not yet identified. Daniels is locked up at this hour. Well, police just revealing a hotel security guard was shot a full 6 minutes before the Las Vegas shooter opened fire on a country music concert in Las Vegas. Jesus Campos was checking something out on the killer's floor when the suspect fired 200 shots right through the door. Police had previously said Campos was shot during the assault and actually had credited him with stopping it. That has now changed. Jillian.
All right, Rob, another Fox News alert. California's wine country on fire. 10 dead and 100 are missing at this hour. Just take a look at the video. You can see the flames are out of control, leaving behind a trail of devastation and massive scenes out there as well. Adam Housley joins us now from Napa, California with more. Adam?
Yeah, that 100 missing person report is coming from just Sonoma County alone. They don't believe that 100 people have perished. There have just been 100 different missing person reports filed. A lot of that has to do with the fact that there's no cell service in both valleys, Napa and Sonoma. Very hard to find cell service. Also, a lot of landlines are down. This is a live look right now. This is Signorello Winery. I actually grew up just at the bottom of the hill from here. The winery's been here for many years. You can see that it didn't make it. The fire blew through here less than 24 hours ago. This is the fire burning on the east side of Napa Valley. It's actually now burning over into Solano County, threatening homes there in an area called Green Valley. We also have a fire burning down in Carneros. We have a fire, of course, in Santa Rosa. 15 fires in Northern California right now, all told, many of them threatening homes. From the air, you can see the aerial assault that's taking place across the region, really. No matter how much smoke's up there, you see helicopters and planes, and unfortunately it didn't help in this case, but it fortunately has helped in areas of the eastern part of the valley. We actually came across a house where two different firefighters from two different units, one from Santa Cruz County, Cal Fire, one from Novato, helped save this home in the eastern hills of Napa Valley. And when you talk to firefighters, they'll tell you coming in to help, they're here to do whatever they can, but many times it's difficult because they don't know the area. Take a listen.
It makes it difficult for us. I mean, we got to get into areas that we don't really know, we never see on a daily basis, and we have to plan accordingly. So we go along the houses and we take a look at them before the fire gets there, and we decide which houses we're going to be able to save based on the preparation that the owners do, and we prep and go from there.
And in some cases, it just doesn't matter. This is the destruction of Silverado Country Club. I shot this video right before nightfall, and you can see that it seems in some cases almost every single home on some blocks are gone. Take this into account. This fire blew through there within a couple of hours of the end of the PGA Tour. The Safeway Open was playing there. So there were hundreds of people that had to be evacuated. I talked to one sheriff who said he was going door to door, in some cases prying open the front door and going inside and waking the people up to get them out. We even found cars that were burned on the street that were just abandoned. Those pictures will be coming in next hour. But guys, up here right now, the good news, really there's not much. It's just that the winds died down. But these fires continue to chew up acres, continue to threaten homes, and they are very worried about that number. Right now, the death toll stands at 10. They do expect that to go up. They haven't had a chance to go into many of these burned out areas and really do an assessment. Back to you in New York.
Well, they had speculated this would be a bad fire season after all the rain last winter. It certainly appears to be moving that direction. And you actually had to do some work yourself. Your family's property, this is where you grew up. Tell us how you saved the family home this morning or last night.
Well, my brother started, in fact, you guys, he was on with you, I believe, 24 hours ago. My brother and friends from high school, we put it out on social media. They just showed up with shovels, and they fought the fire to the bottom of this hill. Our neighbors, unfortunately, 2 of our neighbors' homes burned down. It burned across our yard. My dad and a couple of his friends, like I said, and my brother basically were using water until the power went out. Then they just shoveled dirt and sand into buckets, got water out of the pool, did whatever they could to fight the fire. When we got here today, there were still smoldering areas, and at one point we were down in the creek with the shovels putting out flames that continue to kick up, and that's without the wind. So just imagine what it was like here last night, what it's been like here all day when the winds were blowing earlier. There are some reports that the winds could come back tomorrow. So the idea now is to get some of these smoldering areas out before those winds come back and stoke it up again, guys.
Adam Housley, thank you very much for joining us. You know, it's one of those things, you report on these stories. It's another thing when you're reporting on a story that affects you.
Yeah, and your family's in the middle of it. That's amazing. All right, Adam, thank you so much. All right, the U.S. military will be ready to fight.
That's the message from Defense Secretary James Mattis on North Korea as the president doubles down on his strong stance against the rogue regime. Kelly Wright joins us now with the latest. Good morning, Kelly.
Jillian, good morning to you and Rob as well. The Trump administration is making it very clear that it will not tolerate much longer any provocative nuclear action from North Korea. President Trump continues to take a hard-line approach to dealing with North Korea and its leader Kim Jong-un. In his latest tweet on the subject, President Trump tweeted this: "Our country has been unsuccessfully dealing with North Korea for 25 years, giving billions of dollars and getting nothing. Policy didn't work." So the Trump administration is still pursuing a diplomatic solution to all of this. Plus, it imposed tougher economic sanctions on North Korea. Meantime, Defense Secretary James Mattis, speaking to the Association of the U.S. Army's annual meeting in D.C., explains the Army may be called to action if diplomacy fails.
It is right now a diplomatically led, economic sanction buttressed effort to try to turn North Korea off this path. The international community has spoken, but that means the U.S. Army must stand ready.
And here's what you have to understand. The Trump administration maintains that it wants a peaceful solution with North Korea, but it is willing to tough talk and to carry a big stick to intervene with military might to remove the nuclear threat from the rogue regime. Jillian, Rob.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much. All right, the White House now also taking strong steps on another key issue, and that is immigration. But can they get Democrats to get on board here?
That's the big question. And here now to weigh in from the Center for Immigration Studies is Dr. Stephen Camarata. Stephen, thank you for joining us. I want to just jump right in and ask you, do you see any aspects of this where both parties can agree?
Well, you know, it used to be the case that the Democrats were much more enthusiastic about enforcement, but now they see enforcement as just a bargaining chip. They used to really want to go after the employers. They used to want to control the border. But today, the Democratic Party generally sees most efforts at enforcing the law, even holding criminals who are people who get arrested and holding them in jails. You know, as we know, there's cities all over America that when the Immigration Service asks them to hold that person, the local community or the local government won't do it. So enforcement is just not something the Democrats want to be involved with anymore in the way that they used to seem to believe.
And Doc, that's what drives people crazy about politics. Less than 10 years ago, you had two of the biggest names in Democratic politics, Obama and Clinton, voting to complete 700 miles of pedestrian fencing along the southern border, basically to build a wall. And now, not even 10 years later, all of a sudden, to build a wall is racist, according to the left, and is insensitive. And it's just, how does it change that fast? And it appears to me to be purely political. I mean, how can you pull a move like that? I mean, there's a history there.
Yeah, except I think most Democratic voters want the border controlled. They want immigration enforcement. But there's a small segment in the Democratic Party that sees any kind of enforcement, even deporting someone who's been arrested and is already in jail, even doing that, they see as controversial. And they seem to be in the driver's seat. And they've managed to pull the Democratic Party all the way over to, I guess what you'd say is the left. So that Hillary Clinton during the campaign said, look, anybody who basically is here illegally, unless they're a murderer, robber, or rapist, they get to stay. That was her basic policy. And that was not the policy of her husband, that's for sure.
Do you think this is just comes down to basic domestic symbolism, the fact that they don't want to agree with President Trump?
Well, look, yes. I mean, obviously, there is some of that. There's always some of that. But I do think that the real energy in the Democratic Party on the left really does see most forms of immigration enforcement as illegitimate. People they figure, should have a right, if they make it here, to sort of stay here. We don't really have a sovereign right to send them home. I don't think that's what most Democratic voters think, but at least the left wing of the Democratic Party, which seems to be in charge, thinks that.
Well, that's a very good point, is that there is a big difference between the mainstream, Democrats and the far left part of the party. But to the far left's point is that, I mean, you've got the same people clamoring for free education, free health care, also saying you need to have open borders, too. If you ever implemented that, the country would go belly up so fast we wouldn't believe it. I mean, you can't have free things and open borders at the same time.
No, that's certainly true. All the things that Democrats care about, say they care about, like public education, like the working poor. One of the reasons we limit immigration is to make sure our schools don't get overwhelmed. One of the reasons we limit is to make sure there aren't so many workers at the bottom end of the labor market to push down wages. And there was a long tradition of the Democratic Party recognizing that things that progressive wanted were often in conflict with open borders. But that seems to have gone away largely within the Democratic Party.
All right, Dr. Stephen Camarata, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Sure, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Doc. 11 minutes after the hour, finally, a controversy-free night of football. How nice. All players standing for Monday Night Football's national anthem. And this morning, Mike Ditka has a message to those who want to continue to sit or kneel during the anthem.
Remember when Kathy Griffin thought it was funny to behead President Trump? How can we forget this image? Well, the disgraced comedian is back. What she did this time, that's come out.
All right, welcome back. Remember Kathy Griffin, comedian Kathy Griffin's tearful apology for this photo with a bloody prop of President Trump's head?
I went too far. I made a mistake, and I was wrong.
No, she doesn't feel that way anymore. Griffin returning to the stage in Los Angeles wearing a mask of the president, we are told, waving her middle finger in the air and then taking a knee on the stage. There you have it.
Oh, boy. All right, an artist taking their own jab at President Trump with this giant pincushion. The artwork, part of a contest in Michigan and getting serious backlash, as you can imagine. It allows visitors to take a push pin and stick it anywhere on the caricature of the president. More than 10,000 pins have been jabbed. It did not win the competition. Well, guess what? We saw our first Monday Night Football action where there wasn't too much controversy on the sidelines during the anthem.
Remember when football was just football? And you didn't have to think about this crap
I do, actually.
in the middle of a football game?
Yeah, everyone stood
nice.
last night, which is the first time, I think, all season that's happened, that I've seen it happen anyway.
Yeah, and it's been a tough topic for the NFL. And actually, Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, came out and told his players they're going to get benched if you don't stand for the anthem. And the president actually thanked the owner of the Dallas Cowboys for that in a tweet. Let's go ahead and pull that up here. A big salute to Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, who will bench players who disrespect our flag, stand for anthem, or sit for game.
Yeah, listen, Jerry Jones from the beginning, from last season, has been pretty adamant about not wanting to be involved in this, not wanting his players to be involved in this. So I will admit I was a little surprised a couple weeks ago, I think it was week 3, when Jerry Jones partook in the demonstration, I'll call it. I won't even say a protest.
Right.
When they took a knee before the national anthem, and then they stood up. That surprised me. And now the fact that just a couple weeks later he's coming so hard on this, I'm kind of wondering, just...
Yeah, well, I think
Stick with your opinion.
he's trying. Well, I think he's trying to find that middle ground where it's like there is a discussion to be had about police brutality, but there's also a country that needs to be respected as well. These two things don't have to happen in the same 2 minutes. You don't have to kneel for the anthem just because you believe in something.
Right. By the way, Jerry Jones did say, there's a quote in here, an article I was reading this morning, saying that he's removing everything from this. He's removing politics. He says, what I have the right to say is who's on that football field. So he's pretty adamant about this at this point.
It's very interesting. And here's Burgess Owens. We've had him on a number of times, who's had a pretty tough stance on this whole thing. Let's listen to what he had to say.
I'm proud of a president who drew a line and said, you know, enough of this progressively trying to steal our heritage and our pride in our country. We now have a chance, these kids have a chance, young men in the off season, to truly put their money where their mouth is. There's a problem there in our community. We need to address it. It's going to come from those who have billions of dollars sitting on the sideline, investing hope and encouragement and jobs and mentorship to those kids that right now don't have hope. So it's a great win. We just have to not let our guard down, because the leftists will always continue to come at us.
And a lot of people are sounding off on this, including legendary Bears coach Mike Ditka. Here's what he had to say. We have sought for you that we can read. He says, when you want to protest, protest when the game is over. Football has been so good to these guys. Enjoy it. Had fun with it. I don't care who you are, how much money you make. If you don't respect our country, then you shouldn't be in this country playing football.
And he said that on Monday Night Football.
Yep, and he
on
says,
ESPN.
He says, go to another country and play football.
Yeah.
If you had to go somewhere else and try to play the sport, you wouldn't have a job. If you don't respect this flag and this country, then you don't know what this is all about. I would say adios. Some pretty tough words.
I'd say that's well said.
I mean, the game's a little different nowadays. Yeah. The players are a little different nowadays. Like, you talk to a lot of these guys who've been in the game many years ago, and their opinion is very strong about that. And I feel like a lot of the younger guys can learn a lot by listening to them.
Yeah, well, the country's changed a lot since Mike Ditka was the coach of the Bears.
He does Bears.
All right.
It is 19 minutes after the hour right now. Pulled off the air, an ESPN host suspended for attacking America's team and the president.
And apparently it's a crime to have pro-life beliefs. Twitter now deciding it's offensive, and they're going to censor that. Carly Shimp is here with some outrage online. That's coming up next. All right, welcome back. And benched. The ESPN host who once accused President Trump of being a white supremacist, now on the sidelines yet again for making another controversial comment on Twitter.
Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7. Sirius XM 115 is here with the growing controversy that people can't stop talking about.
Yeah, the story of Jemele Hill and her politically charged tweets continues. So ESPN has suspended her for 2 weeks after she slammed Cowboys owner Jerry Jones on Twitter for saying that he would bench any player who does not stand for the national anthem. So here are the tweets that got Jemele Hill in trouble. She says, Cowboys have a huge national following. Lots of black and brown folks are Cowboys fans. What if they turned their backs on them? If the rationale behind Jerry Jones's stance is keeping the fan base happy, make him see that he underestimated how all of his fan base feels. Or how about not patronizing the advertisers who support the Cowboys? You can watch and do that, right? Well, a few weeks ago, Jemele Hill, of course, made headlines for calling President Trump a white supremacist on Twitter. She was not punished then, but she was handed a 2-week suspension this time because ESPN says she violated their social media policy for a second time. But some people on social media say that ESPN didn't go far enough. This person says, if you ask me, she deserves more than a 2-week suspension, calling that outrageous. Another Twitter user said she should be fired, not just suspended. On the other side of that are people like Al Sharpton and Rosie O'Donnell who have come out on social media saying that they're outraged that she was suspended and she should be allowed to say how she feels on Twitter.
And to my knowledge, we still don't know if she's suspended with or without pay.
Yes, yeah, we do not know if she's going to be paid within this period of time or if she's going to have to take a 2-week pay cut. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
The edit from Twitter on this one, I just couldn't believe the line that they cut out.
Yeah, and we're about to play it for you.
Yeah.
So Twitter is under fire for blocking Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn's Senate campaign ad because of this line about Planned Parenthood. Take a listen.
I'm 100% pro-life. I fought Planned Parenthood and we stopped the sale of baby body parts. Thank God.
So baby body parts got that ad banned from Twitter. So a Twitter spokesperson told Blackburn's campaign that that line was deemed inflammatory and will likely evoke a strong negative reaction. So she was blocked from being able to pay to promote that ad, but it is still on her Twitter profile, and she is asking people to retweet it. It has been retweeted about 11,000 times. So you can kind of say that this is sort of working in her favor.
Wow.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Seth Rogen is in a fight with Costco.
Yes, that's right. He is in a Costco. Actually, he's in a hot seat over this 2-month-old tweet he sent out slamming conservative author Dinesh D'Souza's book that you see right there. He tweeted at Costco saying, "Why do you sell books that compare left-wing people like me to Nazis?" Well, people got a hold of that tweet yesterday and made it go viral. Trish says, obviously, Seth Rogen, you have not read the book, not one untruth about the history of the Democratic Party. And Stacy on Twitter also says, truth hurts, huh? I thank God for Dinesh D'Souza, who presented facts. I read The Big Lie. I highly recommend you read it, too. A lot of other people on Twitter said, I didn't even know Costco sold this book, so thanks for letting me know. I'm going to go pick up a copy now.
He doesn't want him to sell them.
Doesn't want him to sell
He should have a book burning.
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't
very
think that's
popular
a very
amongst
good
the
idea.
Nazis. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, Carly, thanks so much.
In trouble,
Thanks a
Rob.
lot.
It is just about 30 minutes after the hour right now. The Trump administration declaring the war on coal is over, and that's music to the ears of many miners.
It proves to us that Donald Trump is going to do the things that he promised he would do.
But what about those who say it's bad for the climate? Stay tuned.
And the media calling the vice president's NFL protest a political stunt. But nobody called it a stunt when he was booed at the play Hamilton. A closer look at a bit of hypocrisy here coming up next. All right, the president unveiling a long list of demands for immigration reform in exchange for a deal on DACA.
That's right, but top Democrats say the list goes too far. Kristen Fisher is live from our nation's capital with more. Good morning, Kristen.
Hey, good morning, Rob and Jillian. Well, President Trump is telling lawmakers to fund and build his border wall or else any deal protecting dreamers is dead. Other reforms include stopping sanctuary cities by denying federal funding, hiring 10,000 additional ICE agents and 300 prosecutors, establishing a point-based system for green cards, and ending asylum abuse. Now, the list is being praised by his base as proof of a president keeping his campaign promise, but it's being slammed by Democrats as, quote, lacking basic humanity. They also say it's very different from the deal that the top two Democrats on Capitol Hill thought that they'd struck over dinner at the White House a few weeks ago. Chuck and Nancy, as the president likes to call them, say that, quote, this proposal fails to represent any attempt at compromise. The list includes the wall, which was explicitly ruled out of the negotiations.
The message to the dreamers is that listen to what the president says. He says he's open to a deal. They should actually be calling their friends Chuck and Nancy to say, you know, are you going to give up this deal?
Now, yesterday, President Trump spent the day playing golf with Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. I'd imagine the two probably had quite a bit to talk about, given the comments just made by his fellow Republican Senator Bob Corker. And Jillian, I know you're a huge golfer, so you're going to love this. Senator Graham says that yesterday, in windy and in rainy conditions, that President Trump shot a 73 on the course. He also said, I did better in the presidential race than today on the golf course. Gotta love a guy who can admit defeat, right?
I've never shot that on a good day. Kristen Fisher, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
It's my goal to get into the 70s. Well, the war on coal is over. Head of the EPA, Scott Pruitt, announcing his plan to repeal President Obama's Clean Power Plan. The proposal, expected to be signed today, argues that current emission standards are just too tough for power plants to meet. Earlier on Fox and Friends First, we talked to a coal worker, Bo Copley, who called out Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail for putting coal miners out of work. Now he's praising the Trump administration for stepping in.
It proves to us that Donald Trump is going to do the things that he promised he would do. I think that's just going to help everyday living for the people in this state. And, you know, slowly but surely we're starting to see our product back out on the highways.
The EPA is still deciding whether to replace the Clean Power Plan or propose a brand new rule. Get this, using the wrong pronoun could soon land people in jail. A new California law will punish healthcare workers who refuse to call transgender patients by their preferred names or pronouns. It's meant to prevent discrimination. Violators could face a fine or jail time, but the bill's sponsor insists no one would be criminally prosecuted. Rob?
All right, Jillian, thanks. Vice President Mike Pence starting his own anthem protest by walking out of an NFL game when players refused to stand for the national anthem, of course, and the mainstream media wasted no time calling this a political stunt.
Was it a stunt?
One of the most talked about plays during Sunday football was sent in by President Trump and executed by his vice president.
The White House is dismissing criticism that the vice president's walkout of an NFL game was a taxpayer-funded political stunt.
But this is not the first time the vice president has been at the center of a free speech debate. Remember back in November when he was booed while he walked into a New York theater to see Hamilton, and then more importantly, lectured by the cast. There wasn't much media outcry at that point. It was right after the election. Here to debate, Democratic strategist and contributor for The Hill, Michael Starr Hopkins, along with conservative millennial Allie Beth Stuckey. And Michael, we will begin with you, and thank you so much for coming in this morning. Thanks, I'll give you that this may very well have been a stunt. It might have been orchestrated. I could see it happening. It's politics, after all. Why does the media have such a problem with this?
I think there was a flip from the Hamilton stunt, and I'll call it that. It was a stunt. But those were private citizens who were addressing the vice president. Here what you had was the vice president using taxpayer dollars to make a political stunt, and it was unnecessary. I think as the vice president, I think he's held to a higher standard than private citizens and actors on Broadway. And so I just think it landed poorly.
Okay, Allie, your response to that?
Yeah, and you can say what you will about this. I agree that it was probably for publicity. Now, to go as far as to say it's a stunt, I'm not exactly sure. The president has actually said that this trip was long planned, so we don't know if it was planned beforehand that Pence would actually leave. But this is something that Trump's base loves about him, that he expertly maneuvers the media. So I do agree that this was deliberate, but Trump is very clever and very effective at this delicate dance between his base, his administration, and also the media in order to focus the narrative on the things that he wants to focus on. I think he did that very well.
Michael, back to you. Let me just give you some clarity here. I'm from Indianapolis, where Peyton Manning is a god. Absolutely. He's like Bobby Knight, and this was his big night at a Colts game in the state that Mike Pence, up until 10 minutes ago, was running. So, it was very likely that Pence could have been at that game for that reason, and that's a very good reason to be there. But even if this was a stunt, can't you argue that pretty much everything politicians do is some kind of a stunt? Don't they spend almost their entire first term working on getting elected to a second term? I used to live in Los Angeles, and President Obama would come into town every month to collect money for his re-election campaign. That was all funded by taxpayer dollars. Where's the outrage on that?
I think that first this was a stunt, and it did take away from Peyton Manning. We should have talked about Omaha, and the Super Bowl victory, but instead we're talking about Vice President Pence. And I think that the problem here is just, we've been talking a lot about budgets and taxes and what we can afford. And this trip costs north of $300,000 for him to go and be there for a couple minutes. And the press pool was told that they were going to leave before the game was even starting. So, I think this was a little premeditated.
But you got Democrats that blew our budget to hell, that gave us $10 billion more or $10 trillion more in a deficit, all of a sudden care about money, for once in their lives.
All of a sudden, Democrats care about being fiscally responsible as soon as they don't agree with it. Right.
It's an interesting topic, definitely, for sure. And I just have to say, Allie, would you say that, this administration has its flaws? We have a president that's very vocal and pisses a lot of people off. I understand that. Will they ever get a fair shakedown? I noticed the other day NBC cataloging that the president was going to play golf and doing it in a very sinister tone, even in a tweet. When Obama went to play golf, I don't recall that kind of treatment.
Well, I got to jump in on that.
No, not at all. He deserved that kind of vacation. No, I don't necessarily think that Trump supporters are going to get a fair shake. I don't think that Trump will get a fair shake in the media. However, what we've seen, because Trump is so expert at narrating and then re-narrating whatever narrative that he wants in the media, whenever the media and his dissenters drag him through the mud, the support in his base actually bolsters and grows. And I think that we're going to see that, especially in an issue that has to do with patriotism and honoring our flag.
For sure.
And Michael,
really
can't
go wrong with something like this.
I think both sides are guilty of taking pot shots at each other. So I think, we both got to get rid of a little of the hypocrisy and just kind of call it like we see it.
I like it. You guys were great. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on this morning. We appreciate it. Jillian.
Thanks.
All right, it's 22 minutes until the top of the hour. Let's check in with Janice Dean right now, who has a look at the forecast. And Janice, all eyes are on Northern California.
Absolutely. The good news is the winds are going to die down today. However, we're still into elevated high fire danger for the Santa Rosa area, the Sonoma area, north of San Francisco. We've got these offshore winds that's helping to gust the fan the flames. And then as we go southward across Southern California, the high fire danger is a little bit more expansive. So Santa Clarita, also LA, Long Beach, Oceanside, we have high fire danger for Southern California, and it will diminish for Northern California. But still, much of the state of California is dry and warm, and we're not getting any rainfall in the area at all. So that's not good news. For Northern California, though, the winds are going to start to die down today. I also want to point out we do have some rainfall across the central U.S. Nate is out of the way. Yahoo! We don't have any tropical news to cover. Also want to point out that behind this cold front, much cooler than average temperatures. Ahead of it, that's where we've got the warmer than average temperatures, including New York City, 81 degrees today. So enjoy it, Jillian, while it lasts. Back to you.
It's crazy that it's October.
A little crazy.
It's 80 degrees.
Yep.
What is going on?
Don't blame me.
No, we're not blaming anybody. Janice, thanks so much.
You got it.
It is just about 20 minutes until the top of the hour. Remember when President Obama told you if you like your health care, you can keep it? Well, that didn't really work out. Coming up, what President Trump is doing this week that could actually change your care for the better.
And this is not what you want to see on the runway. A plane on fire. Exactly what happened coming up.
Wow. And well, here's a plane you'll want to be on. The airline now offering one very awesome perk. And guess what? It's for free. Stay tuned.
All right, we are back with a Fox News alert. At least 10 people are dead and about 100 are missing as wildfires rip through Northern California, specifically the Napa-Sonoma area, the wine country. The fast-moving flames forcing tens of thousands of homes, or tens of thousands from their homes, I should say, leaving entire neighborhoods looking just like this, in ruins, burned out. Hospitals now in a race against time to get their patients to safety. There are now 17 wildfires burning across the state of California. It is a rough season. Jillian.
Yes, it is. And this is something that you don't want to see on a runway. A plane on fire. The flames just feet from an American Airlines plane in Hong Kong, causing pure panic, as you can imagine. And luckily, no passengers were on board. American Airlines blames the fire on faulty cargo loading equipment.
Okay, now to a Fox Business alert and a major recall at a very popular grocery chain, especially in the South. Apparently, if you bought a pot roast lately, it could really be meatloaf. You're kidding me.
Tracy Carrasco from our sister network, Fox Business, is here with what you need to know. Tracy, I guess if you like meatloaf, you're okay with it.
Yeah, if you like meatloaf, not a big deal. But, you know, this was actually Publix grocery store, major meat recall, because this meatloaf was actually packaged as pot roast. And like we said, if you like both dishes, not a big deal. But the meatloaf contained breadcrumbs and soybean oil. So if you have any sort of allergies, that's the big issue. Now, the recall is in stores that were in South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, Florida, and Georgia. So take that back to the store.
Yeah, use your receipt and get a refund on that.
Exactly. I used to love Publix when I lived in Florida.
Everyone says that.
Yeah, it's a good store. All right, Hulu dropping the prices, huh?
You know, last week we told you Netflix was raising them, Hulu doing the opposite. So they're offering their entry-level plan. Normally it's $7.99. They're going to be offering that for $5.99 a month. This is just for a limited time only and for first-time customers. So take advantage of that if you want to give Netflix a break there.
All right, Tracy, this next one, I'm going to let you give the good news here, but I'll let you know that this is your woman after my own heart delivering this news this morning.
Yes, because at a time when it doesn't seem like you get anything for free from an airline, Delta Airlines is going to be offering Prosecco to customers on its international flights. So, you know, they've long offered beer, wine, and other liquor on their flights. So now everybody, not just those people in business class, will be able to enjoy a glass of Prosecco.
Cheers to that.
Yes, exactly. Great news.
Everybody's going to be trash when they get off the plane. Welcome to London. All right. Thanks so much.
Good news. I like that.
All right.
Let's check in with Ainsley to see what's coming up on Fox and Friends right now.
Hey, Jillian. Hey, Rob.
Hey.
So I had a chance to sit down with Ivana Trump. She just wrote a book, and I asked the president's first wife about all of his critics. Listen to what she said.
What do you say to the critics and to the media outlets that attack him constantly? They say he's racist. They say so many things about him that are negative.
I think Donald's a good man.
and he is trying to do the best he can, and he's going to run the country as his business. He will negotiate. Once America has the jobs, when America has the infrastructure, once that is done, then we can go and help all the rest of the world.
She talked about raising those 3 children that she has with Donald Trump. She talks about his affair not being faithful and what he's like in the White House, and if she wants to be in Melania's shoes. The first cable exclusive coming up.